Guys, I'm going to show you how two computers on different network communicate with each other. So this is a simple diagram that I'm going to explain to you. This is router 1 and the other one is router 2, and you have one switch connected to each of these routers, and then you have two personal computers at the bottom connected to each other. So suppose if this particular computer has 10 network, right, and the other one has, if this is in a 10 network and if the other one is say on 30 network, which is altogether a different network. So how would this PC be able to communicate in a typical LAN environment? You will have something like this kind of setup. I'm just showing you a simple two router setup. I will show you on the Cisco packet tracer how this can be configured in your environment. And so this particular PC, if it wants to communicate to this PC on 30.1 30.2 network, you have to configure something called routing for this computer to know how to communicate to this computer. It has to go through its own router and then connect to the other router, and then it will be able to communicate to your laptop or to your PC on a different network. So let's jump quickly and see how you can configure that. So this is a tool that's been developed by Cisco. It's called Cisco Packet Tracer. You can use this particular tool. It's very useful if you want to practice or learn something. So here we have two routers and we are going to connect them using the crossover cable. This is one of the port. It's called fast Ethernet, and you can have different ports like gigabit Ethernet, or you can have Ethernet as well, which is very slow and very old. So I'm connecting to one of the port here. By default on this router, I have two ports, but if you want, you can add more ports to it. So I'm just simply adding two switches. I'm not going to configure the switches here. Um, and I'm going to connect here. Just make sure that you use a straight cable when you connect from router to a switch, and you use a crossover cable when you connect from router to router. And I'm going to use some personal computing systems here. So I'm just using two computers here, and I'm going to use two computers here. I'm going to assign an IP address on both the computers as well on the routers. So as you can see on the switch, I'm using the fast Ethernet ports, and same thing I'm going to do here. So your cabling is almost done. This is how typically it would connect on a local area network. Okay, so the lights have turned green. Now on this router we have, I just wanted to show you, this is router 0. The port that it is connected to, fast Ethernet 0/1 and fast Ethernet 0/0. These are the two ports that we need to configure. And on this one also we have fast Ethernet 0/0 and fast Ethernet 0/1. So for these computers to communicate to each other, if you configure just the default gateway, it should be able to configure. If you assign the IP address to this router, so it can communicate with each other. However, for this computer to communicate over to the another computer with a different network, you need to configure the IP routing, and we will see how we can do that. So we'll quickly assign an IP address here. I'm going to assign an IP address of 10 network. So I'm giving this as 10.1, and I want to make my default gateway or the router IP address, this one 0/1 as 10.2. So that's why I've given 10.2 here. And just make sure that you don't mix up the IP address since it's a small environment, so I can remember it. But for you, if you have a big environment, you should be able to make a note of this. So this PC was 10.1, the default gateway will be 10.2, and this is 10.3. Subnet mask is class A, subnet mask which is 255.255, 255.0.0.0. So I'm on router 1. You have to get into the configure terminal mode, and you have to get into the fast Ethernet port 0/1, which you want to assign an IP address. So right now I'm inside of the interface fast Ethernet 0/1, and remember I want to assign an IP address of 10.2, and the subnet mask will be 255.0.0. You need to give as no shut so that this port becomes up. I'm exiting and I'm going into another interface 0/0, interface fast Ethernet 0/0, and make sure you assign a different IP address, because the first one was 10 range IP address. So you can use any different IP address which is not in the same network. So I'm just using a 20 IP address and I'm giving as no shut so that the interface becomes up. By default, it is the interfaces are down, so you have to give as no shut and use this command to see the IP addresses as assigned. So you can see 0/0 is now assigned 20.1 and 0/1, which is this interface, is assigned 10.2. I want to stop here and want to tell you one thing, that this computer, if they want to communicate outside, 0/1 is the port through which it will go out, because as you can see, this is directly connected here. Okay, so this is also known as a default gateway. This will become your default gateway through which these two computers will communicate to outer network. Okay, so this router I have already assigned. So this is, I just want to make a note here. So this is 10 network. Okay, and I will give here as 20 network. Okay, and this one I'll make it as 30 network. So 10, 20, and 30. So I have to configure the other router, which is router 1. I have to do the same thing here. Keep in mind that you do not mix up with the IP address. It's very crucial. And when you're assigning the IP address to the ports, make sure you remember the IP ranges. So internet fast Ethernet 0/0. I'm going to assign an IP address which is on the same network as the other router interface, because it's going to communicate with each other. So I'm going to make this as 20.2. Remember the other one was 20.1. Okay, and I'm exiting from here, and I'm going to get into another interface which is 0/1, an IP address. I'm going to make it as 30.0. Maybe 1, and here's the IP address, subnet mask. And I guess I forgot to do no shut here. Okay, I need to also get into 0/0 and say no shut, otherwise it will not bring up your interface. Now show IP interface brief will give you the information. So this is 20.2, which is 0/0 here, and 0/0/1, which is this interface, is 30.1. So as you can see, the lights have all turned green. That means it's all connected well with the cabling, and the IP address has been assigned. This one will be 30 range IP address. The default gateway was 30.1. This is something you will do on your personal computer client systems. I'm going to Network and Sharing Center. You will assign an IP address. So I've given this IP address as a default gateway 30.1, which is this interface IP. Now, if you see this computer's IP address is this computer's IP address is 10.1, okay, and this computer's IP address is 30.2, okay. So if I want to communicate, I have done with the IP address assigning for both the computers and the routers. They are all connected via the cabling, and the IP address assignment is done. So if I want to ping 30.0.0.2 config, this is 30.2, right? Let's see. Destination host unreachable. This is because this computer does not yet know how to reach to this particular network. Now, this is what I was talking about. You will have to configure a routing. You can do it via static, which is manually you can add an IP address, or you can do it using a protocol like RIP, EIGRP, or OSPF, and there are several other protocols that you can use. So on this video, I'm going to show you how you can do it statically. You can set up static IP routing. So you will have to get inside the configuration terminal, and the commands would be, so let me show you. If I do show IP route, let's see what information do we get. Hold on. Show IP route. Okay, so on router 0, it says 10 network and 20 network is directly connected, and it tells you via which port or fast Ethernet port it is connected to. Now, it does not know this network yet, and that is what we need to do. So this network that you see, this is a 30 network. We are going to say that connect to 30 network via this IP, via this interface, because, oops, sorry. Uh, okay. Okay. We're going to say that connect to, hey, connect from this router. We are going to say connect to this particular network, 30 network, using this particular interface, because for this router to communicate to 30 network or to know this network, it has to go through this F0/0. This will be the next hop router for it. Okay. So we are on router 0. We will say IP route, that is the command, 30 network. We are not going to give an IP address because there are two computers. There may be multiple computers, and then the subnet mask. Okay. And then the IP address of the interface through which you want to communicate, through which you want to route the information. So let's see. The 0/0 IP address is 20.2. So we are going to say communicate via 20.2. So IP route 30 network, subnet mask, and via 20.2. So do show IP route command will give you more information. So previously you were able to see only these two information. C stands for directly connected network, which is 10 and 20. But now if you see on this router 0, even 30 is routable via 20.2, which is this interface. We're going to do the same on the other router. We are going to specify, just gonna make this a little small. Show IP, do show IP route. And as you can see right now, it has only two directly connected networks, which is 20 and 30. And we're going to add now IP route 30 network from, sorry, 10 networks, right? We want to connect to this network. This is our destination network. We want to ping from here to here, right? So from here to here, we want to ping from this to this, right? So this is a 10 network. So IP route 10 network. Again, we are not giving the exact IP address, otherwise it won't be able to communicate to another laptop, so to another computer. So we're just going to give the network. We always give that, and we give the subnet mask, and we want to say via which interface. I'm sure you might have already figured out that if this router, which is router 1, has to communicate, it cannot directly connect here because the cable is not connected to F0/1, it's connected to 0/0. So this is the network, this is the interface through which it can do the routing. So we are going to mention IP route 10 network, subnet mask, and the IP address, as far as I remember, it was 20.1, but we'll verify. Yes, 0/0 is 20.1. So we can say 20.0.1. Okay, do show IP route, and as you can see, an extra entry has been added here. S is a static routing. So connect 10 network via 20.1 network. Okay, so looks great. We have done the static routing. Now we are going to see if we can ping 30.2 PC. Initially, it may fail because of ARP. The switch takes some time to learn the IP addresses of another network, or when the new devices are connected. So it might fail for some time. The lost is 2, but if you ping once again, if you can see sent 4, received 4, the same computer previously was unable to communicate, destination host unreachable, right? Now we are going to test on the other one. We are going to ping, and this is 10.1. So we're gonna ping okay. So packet sent 4, received 4, lost 0%. Great. So static routing is done. So that was all. And just in case if you're not able to communicate, you need to figure out where exactly is the failure. So the first point of failure, if this PC is not able to ping this PC, first you would see if it can reach its default gateway, which is this interface. If it can reach, then there could be something wrong on this interface here on this router or on this switch or on this PC. It could be cables, it could be router configuration, it could be some other configuration that we are not yet aware of or we have not done on this video. So yeah, basically that is what you will check. And if this piece is not able to ping its own default gateway or this router interface, that means it's not configured correctly. You need to first fix this problem and then you can look further. So that was all. In my next video, I will show you how you can do dynamic routing using RIP or EIGRP. Thank you for your time.